What is up, everybody, and welcome to the last video on the Will Flips channel before the Vulp Pro goes live. So, as a quick update for everybody, the Vulp Pro goes live tomorrow, the 6th of December at 11 a.m. PST. Okay? 11 a.m. PST tomorrow, December 6th, is when the Vulp Pro is dropping. Make sure that you convert 11 a.m. PST to your local time zone. For instance, for me, I'm in EST, so for me that's 2 p.m. So the Vulp Pro for me is dropping at 2 p.m. on tomorrow, December 6th. 2 p.m. EST, 11 a.m. PST. Convert that to your local time zone so that you don't miss the drop. It'll be on the nabalis.com website. And once again, the colors for your reference are red and black, orange and white, black and white, which is already out on the table, teal and white, and gold and black. All right, these are the colors that will be dropping tomorrow at 11 a.m. PST. Okay, everybody got that? Great. So now that we've gone over the business end of this thing, I want to talk about it a little bit more. This time I wanted to talk about the flipping aspect and just like how much I enjoy actually flipping this Balisong. I've been putting a lot of hours onto it already. The original one that I was putting all of those hours onto was, of course, the prototype. That was the original one. This is the new version. Yeah, I'm very, very proud of this thing. So let's go over just some of the flipping aspect that I'm really, really happy about. The main thing is the way that it carries momentum. You can see when I do certain tricks, it does just kind of like carry the momentum through. For instance, one of the tricks that I have a hard time doing if a Balisong doesn't actually carry its momentum properly, which I'm trying to think of something that might trip me up in that way. So let's grab a few different Balisongs off the wall and just see what comparisons we can make, shall we? Here, that'll be a good spread. So yeah, when it comes to tricks, the main thing really was trying to get that momentum carrying ability up higher. So yeah, for instance, so I do this pinky catch thing a lot, right? And I made it where I can go from the pinky catch into basically a cherry picker, okay? Doing that requires a lot of control and a lot of momentum to be carried over. And so on certain Balisongs, when I do it, I'll kind of like choke up on it and I won't be able to do it properly, but I have a feeling I might be able to do it on all of these right now because I'm practiced. Oh, nope, see, there you go. So that's the momentum problem that I'm talking about. When I because of the way that you're having to transition between large, so like when I toss to here, I'm catching with my pinky and then I'm going to my ring finger. You can see that's a large distance that the Balisong is having to go. You know, it's not like from one finger to the other, it's from the opposite side of my hand to this finger. And then, you know, the similar thing, it goes around the other way. So that can be a problem for certain Balisongs if you catch it in the wrong way, or specifically if the Balisong doesn't carry its momentum properly. I know it was a problem I had with the original Vulp, but I have a feeling I'll probably be able to pull it off anyways. Nope, you can see it kind of like caught there. It wasn't as smooth as it could have been, especially on that thumb rollover. And so, as we talked about previously, that's where the Vulp Pro comes in. That's exactly the kind of thing that I'm trying to fix in this scenario, right? Is problems like that. And it just does it so smoothly every time. In fact, this is probably the trainer that does it the smoothest for me in general. Like, that's just kind of the truth. It's like this is the one that really nails it for me, I've found. So yeah, I'm very impressed with how this thing flips. And there was a lot of reasoning behind that. The other thing that it's really good at is because of that momentum carrying, it does aerials fantastically. So you can just throw aerials really easily, and it'll be very consistent every single time. I found this really good practice for learning to do a scissor into twirl. So that's something that I've been working on recently, is doing a scissor into a full twirl. And it just feels really nice. The other thing, that's another thing I've been working on, is flipping with my left hand, which I'd talked about this previously in other videos, but I really want to get better at flipping with my left hand, because I think being ambidextrous while flipping is pretty cool. And so while I'm not super duper good with it yet, I am getting there. I have much more control than I did previously, at least in my left hand, which is, you know, pretty nice. But one thing that I have been trying to learn is this throw that I kind of created. I don't know if this is something that other people do, but essentially it's this. It's this handoff motion that you do here. So like, you know, if you're doing transfers, it's a transfer, but it's an aerial transfer. So what I'm doing is I'm throwing the balisong like that, the same way that I would be if I was just doing this transfer, and then I'm letting it spin around once before I catch it here, okay? So it's a really hard thing to pull off, I've found, because the timing is super bizarre, and if you fuck up the timing, then you just hit the balisong and it goes flying, and so it'll absolutely ruin your tricks. But if you get it, you know, mid-combo, it looks really cool. You can do all sorts of stuff with it once you've kind of gotten it, but it's so hard to land, as you can see. And I haven't figured out the exact like speed I'm supposed to do it at and stuff like that, but I will say the consistency of the Vulp Pro has been helpful in terms of like actually, you know, practicing it over and over again and getting it semi-consistent like that. So, yeah, you know, I'm happy. It does fanning extremely well. It's got the same, you know, rounded square shape that the original Vulp had. The grip. So we've had multiple questions about the grip. Somebody asked like, oh, why didn't you put the G10 down here where the, you know, where the jimping is? And I was like, well, the jimping, you'll find, so this new polished material has more grip inherently already. The jimping is also exceptionally grippy. You do not need the G10 down here. If anything, you do need the G10 up here, because this is the area where you actually do most of the work. People just don't like realize it until you're flipping, and then you start to realize it as your thumb and your fingers and stuff are literally touching that G10 piece on the back like almost the entire time. It's crazy how much grip this area actually gives you. It's really nuts. But at the same time, it does it without feeling rough on your skin, because that's one thing I really hate is bad G10 or G10 that isn't executed very well feels extremely rough on your skin and just isn't good, and we hate that. We're not fans of that here, and so I wanted to avoid that when it came to the Vulp Pro. The other thing to note here is that we've had a lot of questions about live blades for the Vulp Pro. People have asked, do other Nabali's products that have a live blade fit on the Vulp Pro, or does the new Vulp blade fit on the old Vulp? Says the Vulp Pro blade fit on the old Vulp. First of all, the old Vulp blade does not fit on the Vulp Pro, and vice versa. The Vulp Pro blade does not fit on the old Vulp, because there are differences in the Zen pin placement, as well as the actual pivots are much closer together on the new Vulp. And there's a good reason for that. Those pivots being closer together is part of the reason that chaplains are better. I did a lot of research in terms of figuring out the correct pivot placement, and so we did a number of prototypes, but that pivot placement is based off of research and is designed essentially to give you the best performance when it comes to chaplains. So it is different, and unfortunately that means that the Vulp original blade does not fit on it. But unfortunately, that also means that unlike Machine-Wise, where like Machine-Wise, his whole idea, his whole design philosophy, right, is to create products that are interoperable. Nabali's does not have that design philosophy. And so their products, their different blades aren't like made to fit on one another. They might be able to fit, you know, they might happen to work with one another, but they're not like made for that as an option. And so, no, unfortunately, the various blades that Balisongs makes do not fit on the Vulp Pro, at least not officially. You might find one that happens to fit and happens to work, and that'd be great, but they are not intentionally designed to fit on the Vulp Pro. However, just so everyone is aware, we do want to do a live blade for the Vulp Pro. The thing is that making a live blade is much more difficult than making a trainer blade, and so we do not have a timeline for that yet. We'd love to make a live blade, and the live blade will be, you know, something that, if I had to guess, it's probably something we could sell separately, and then you could, you know, buy a Vulp Pro and then buy the live blade later for it, and then just, you know, swap the blade out for a live blade, or we could sell it as a full thing. But a few caveats there are, first of all, if we do sell a live blade, it'll actually be more expensive than this is. So the Vulp Pro is $139, which I've already talked about. I really wanted it to be sub $150. Unfortunately, if we do a live blade, especially if we do it with a good enough blade steel, it just can't be that cheap. So we will have to increase the price of the live blade version when and if that happens. But we've had just a million comments about this, so I really wanted to let you guys know that yes, I do want to make a live blade version of the Vulp Pro, but no, there are not any immediate plans for that to like come to fruition. So I don't know what timeline that's going to exist on. So don't get your hopes super duper up, but just know that that is something that I would like to do, is to make that happen. So yeah, there's some info for you there. And yeah, as you can see, I'm just kind of ripping on this thing because it really does flip just really good. It's a really, really good flipper. I'm very, very proud of it. When we make the full review of this thing, you know, I'll try to go into detail about how it flips and stuff like that. But at the same time, I feel like, you know, when we make the full review for this thing, I feel like it's just going to be a lot more like of a stylized showcase reel instead of like a review. I mean, that's kind of what the original Vulp release video was, right? Like, I don't know if you guys would agree with that, but I feel like that's pretty accurate. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm excited about this. I hope you guys are excited for the drop. Let me know in the comments what your favorite color is. And also, if you have any color requests for the future. I've seen so many people ask for purple back, and honestly, I agree. I love purple. Purple is easily one of my favorite colors. It's actually the Vulp that I flip the most. So if we go over here to where my like actual collection is, I have my collection on the wall in front of me here, but then I have this little box that I have for like things that I also flip on a regular basis. And you can see my purple Vulp is just sitting there because out of the Vulps that I do flip, my purple one is the main Vulp that I flip. Even though I made an orange one for myself, I really like purple. Honestly, part of me would want a purple and orange Vulp, like for Halloween, where like we use like orange G10 and purple. That'd be sick. That'd probably be like a special release kind of thing. But the main colorway people were asking for was purple and black. And honestly, I agree. I agree entirely. And what's cool about that, too, is that currently we have 3 knives with white G10, and we have 2 with black G10. So if we made a purple and black one, it would round everything out. So now there's a purple and black one to kind of go with the 3 white ones. So, you know, I think that's a good idea. I love the concept of purple and black. I think it would look utterly fantastic. So yeah. Yeah, I think that's the majority of the stuff I wanted to talk about. Overall, I'm just really excited for it. This is going to be an incredible drop. I'm really excited to see what happens. I appreciate you all for your support throughout this. I put a lot of work into this product. We all did. Brandon also put a ton of work, not only into this product, but actually I want to give a shout out to Brandon real quick. If you've seen basically all the marketing that's been happening on our main channel or on Instagram, that's almost entirely Brandon doing that. He's come up with the posts, he's been doing the marketing videos and stuff like that. So huge shout out to Brandon for being freaking awesome when it came to making really cool content about this Balisong. But yeah, and also big shout out to Nabali's for really delivering here, because I was hesitant to continue working with a Chinese manufacturer. And what I mean by that is, like, obviously I live in America, and I think that it's important to support a domestic audience as well. So for us, in America, there are a number of Balisong companies that are here and are fantastic, like Squid Industries and Machine Wise and Fellowship and BRS and Jerry Hom. There's a ton of American-centric Balisong makers. And so I do want to support that side of things. And working with a Chinese company is a little bit strange in the sense of, like, obviously when you do that, the money that you're making is moving out of the country. The money is flowing to a different place. And thankfully with Nabali's, I do feel pretty confident about that, because unlike cloning companies that exist, Nabali's has really shown me, because Nabali's, at the end of the day, so you guys are aware, is one dude. It's one guy in China who has access to a machine shop and has, like, employees and stuff like that. But Nabali's is one guy. I've talked to him directly. We've video called before. He's a really, really cool guy, and he's a really, really sweet guy too. I've talked about this previously, but both Brandon and I have had, like, interactions with him that are just really nice. Like, he's just a really nice guy. And so I at least know that through working with him, I am supporting a smaller maker in a different country. He has the the ability of the economies of scale. Where he lives in China, there's much more accessibility to manufacturing and cheap labor when it comes to manufacturing. And when it comes to that, I'm talking about not just cheap labor, but we're also talking cheaper materials, cheaper access to processing those materials, cheaper access to things like anodizing, cheaper access to hardware. Like, there's a million things that are cheaper because of economies of scale. But in general, it has been really nice working directly with somebody like that, where it's like, yeah, we do have a direct working relationship with this individual person. And that does make me feel slightly more confident about, producing a product like this in China. However, I'm going to be totally honest, that also means that I'm still very interested in producing stuff. There's like a piece of popcorn in my rug. I'm still very interested in producing stuff in places that are not China. So, keep an eye out for the future. Once again, this is even more long-term than, like, the Live Blade thing, but we have other dreams coming with other people that are America-based, that are really cool. But as I've said previously as well, whenever I want to do a collaboration or if I want to make a product, the first thing that I think of is, where is a hole that this product can fill, right? So for the Vulp, it was that $65 price range of, how can we make something cheap enough that almost anybody can buy it and it can be accessible on places like Amazon, but it's good enough that it's a really good starting point for anybody getting into the hobby. That was the hole that I was trying to fill with the original Vulp. And then when you come to the Vulp Pro, now it's, okay, I wanted to fill the hole of, how can you get a pro-level, really good flipper that'll, do everything you need it to do, from being a beginner to being a complete professional Balisong flipper. How can we make that happen for, like, under $150 because I think that's a really good price range for something really, really incredible like this. That's very competitive. And so I wanted to, because I feel like that's a kind of ignored price range, and I wanted to add something in there. And so whenever I come up with an idea for a product like this, the first thing I'm doing is really trying to find out, okay, why does this need to exist? Like, what needs to exist, and how can I make something to fill that void instead of just trying to make something and then trying to figure out its purpose afterwards. It's like I prefer trying to make something to, for a purpose and then delivering on that purpose. I find two things. One being that doing that sort of method really allows you to inform your design process. So it means that like the designs that you are creating are more congruent and more effective because you're trying to fill out a purpose. Like for instance, with this, it was like I'm trying to make this as useful and flippable as possible. And so like having that decided at the beginning is very, very useful because suddenly you've got this like idea that is kind of unshakable in a way. It's like, okay, no matter what we end up doing in this circumstance, my goal is the same. And so, I know that the product that I'm trying to create has this, this, and this, or these features or whatever. And so even if I haven't even made the design yet, I at least know what I'm going for instead of starting out with a design and then trying to like make it function and then trying to discover what functions it should have and then going from there. Instead, I'm starting with the idea of the function and then creating the design. So yeah, I don't know if that makes any sense to people, but that's kind of the idea when it comes to the collaborations that I want to do in the future. I want them to have specific purposes, and I have ideas of who I want to work with to fulfill those specific purposes, which is another reason that Nibali's was a great choice for this specific option. Nibali's has proved to me over their releases after the Vulp, they've proven that they can create something of this quality, which is why I trusted them to, enact the Vulp Pro in all of its glory. And I think they really executed it flawlessly. They really have proven to me that they know what they're doing, and they're really proud of it. They make fantastic stuff, and they've proven it. That's really the thick and thin of it, and they've proven that they can do it at a good price. And so that was why for the Vulp Pro, for the thing that I wanted to come in and be competitive at the $150 price range, the Vulp Pro going with Nibali's made the most sense because they could execute that, and they could execute it extremely well, and they've proven it to me. So anyways, yeah, I know I'm kind of rambling, but I'm going to reiterate one last time. The Vulp Pro drops tomorrow, December 6th, at 11 a.m. PST, Pacific Standard Time, PST. That is 2 p.m. EST, or Eastern Standard Time. So my time zone is EST. So for me, it's tomorrow at 2 p.m. And if you're on the other coast, then it is tomorrow at 11 a.m. Convert that number to your local time zone, please. And also, if you're in another country, if you're not in America, I know I'm talking about this in a very America-centric way, Nibali's.com does ship to basically any country. So convert that time to your own time zone so you know when this thing is going to be dropping, because I don't know how long it'll last, but the idea is in the future to have it in stock the same way that the actual Vulp is in stock. So just so you guys know, that's the idea here. We really are trying our best to make this thing available and in stock. But yeah, that's the Vulp Pro. I will also ask or answer one last viewer question, which is, will you make a titanium version? The answer right now is no. I have no intention of making a titanium version, and the main reason behind that is it would completely change the balance. The density of titanium is just completely different. than aluminum, so it would require a pretty big redesign. And on top of that, I just don't think it's necessary. I have other ideas for titanium in the future that are unrelated to the Vulp, but I really think that this is a great evolution of the Vulp itself, and I don't think it needs a titanium version. I might change my mind in the future, but yeah, there isn't plans right now for a titanium version of the Vulp Pro. So yeah, that's pretty much it. As I said, make sure that you set your calendars, set your clocks. It's happening tomorrow at 11 a.m. PST. It's $139. It'll be on the nabalis.com website, and just make sure you check it out in that time frame, because I don't know how long it'll last. So yes, once again, blue and white, orange and white, black and white, red and white, and finally, my favorite, black and gold. God, it looks so good in the black and gold. All right, well, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you later. Peace.